NTF, we judge. In today's episode,
Interaction dynamic presentation skills.
he's excited. So
It's my forte.
it's our forte. Excuse
Our
me.
forte. Oh, my bad.
Okay, so we're gonna be talking about presentation skills. Presentation dynamics, just in general, how you do your slides, how you talk, and
Public speaking, sharing
Yeah.
sessions.
yeah. So first off, let's start with preparing your slides or preparing your script or your notes or whatever. So do you want to go first? Any good advices or tips to make it interesting?
Coming from background of media development and working, I used to work for one of the biggest universities back then as this like slide developer in a sense. So there's a lot of actually unspoken rules.
Yeah.
There's a lot
Yeah.
of unspoken rules though. You can just follow this few. So one of them being, don't make it wordy.
Oh yes, I have to agree. That's also one advice my mom gave it to me. Because when you have too much words, it just seems like you're just reading from the slides in a way,
Yes.
number one. So
So why am I here for presentation?
yeah, it might as well just give me the slides and let me go back and read, right? So yeah, I agree. Less words, just the main points, of course.
The main point or
Mhm.
ideas that you want to present that is more straightforward. Because you have textbooks, you have references. That's where if I'm interested, I will read additionally on my own.
Yeah.
Whereas when I come to a presentation, I'm here to listen to you express your ideas on that topic or your sharings and so on and so forth.
Or like how you go around this
Exactly.
subject. as
So
well.
whatever you have on a slide should correlate with what you're saying and not directly the script that you are saying, which is a common mistake that many people do. And on the other hand, there's also situations where people overdo this tip where they only put very few words. This is not an advertisement. An advertisement, they have the rule of 7 where you should not have anything more than 7. Like, let's say McDonald's, what's your slogan?
I'm loving it.
So 3 words, right? So what's KFC's slogan?
Oh, figure looking good.
See, it's less. It's
Okay.
usually less than 7 words,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So you're not doing an advertisement. So you don't need to go that little of words.
True.
You just get the main points, and for explanation, that should more depend on you. Also, reduce the amount of anything outside of the key points. Maybe you can lead in with keywords instead.
Keywords,
So
yes.
here's the keywords, but in between, I will fill you up with the gap. So that's with the slide preparation on its own.
Maybe like in a way, for example, we can say this is like 2 plus 2 is 4. Instead of saying 2.
Because it's an odd number, it's an even number, and hence with an even number,
You
get
don't
like-
you don't put that sentence in your slide. You say it out, but in your slide it's just 2 plus 2 is 4. That's it. And then you can explain. the
elaborate
rest.
on it.
Yeah. So that's for slide making, number one.
At least the first point of slide.
Okay.
The
Go
second one, with all design comes the white space.
Oh yes. Yes.
In other words, it's having enough visual emptiness in a certain point of seeing something.
Yeah.
So, like how we said, we don't oversaturate it with words, you also don't oversaturate it with pictures.
Yeah.
Too many pictures, yes, it can be fun at times, though will it distract your audiences or
Yeah.
even yourself sometimes?
Yeah.
Because when everything is crumbled up, your focus tends to move here.
And there, you're like too busy looking around, you see, trying to process everything. Also, I think one thing is color, the background
Yes.
color as well. That's one thing.
Yeah.
Font as well. So, yeah, there's also some things that you should consider when making slides.
And that's a very good point. When it comes to, let's call this pattern arrangement, right? So when it comes to pattern arrangement, we can further break it down to, let's start with color. You never use yellow.
Oh, of course, please don't never
At
ever
least with
use
your
yellow.
font, unless your background is suitable,
Dark.
let's say dark brown, dark blue, black.
Contrast the colors. Your font and your background has to contrast.
Yes, don't ever use colors within the similar frame. So let's say red, orange, yellow. That should not go in your slides.
Red, orange, yellow. I mean, red is still okay. Like
Yeah,
for
red
the
is-
for the words lah.
Yeah, but I mean in the sense where it's a red background and yellow words.
Okay.
So
Definitely.
you should never do that. In a situation when you're doing the background and the words, it should be opposing colors.
Definitely opposing colors. Yes.
Let's go other than black and white. So those are a bit common. So if you're going for purple, you can go orange. If you're going pink, you can go blue.
Yeah.
Because they are opposing colors.
Yep.
So that's fine. But anything nearby, so let's say brown and red, it's a bit too
Oof.
close of color.
No, I can't
Orange,
imagine.
purple and blue, quite similar as well. Though again, it depends on the saturation, hue, and whatnot.
Yeah.
But a general rule, don't go anywhere within the neighboring colors of the rainbow.
Yeah.
So red, orange, yellow don't go together. Orange, yellow, green don't really go together,
Yeah.
and so on and so forth. So
Yeah.
that's a good rule to remember. Then there's fonts.
Not too small.
Not too small, not too big, and most importantly, do not use more than 2 fonts in one slide.
You know what? Just use one font.
You can use we'll give them some leeway. 2 fonts is reasonable because sometimes you want to
Title.
the title, subtitles,
okay.
and or maybe even the subject and your elaboration can be a different
Okay.
font because
Okay.
you want to emphasize on a certain point. Go ahead.
I agree.
But anything more than 3, it becomes again distracting. Like the second point, you're oversaturating your audiences because our brain is a bit haywire at times when we subconsciously analyze this kind of stuff.
Yeah, true. Agreed.
And then another breakdown of it is alignment.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is a less commonly spoken rule.
But it actually does affect a lot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So whatever you want on your slides, you kind of want to make a margin of it, like how when you work with Word documents, there's always that certain page that
Yeah.
we can't write on. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So our eyes do not focus on the corners, like how ninjas they say just hide in the corner and somehow people will miss you. And that somehow works because people don't look at corners. So it's the same thing with slide making
Yeah.
or video making. Whatever you want is more situated in the center.
So it's like because especially with presentation, you are projecting it. So it's like it's too big of a space for people to focus on. So you still have to like limit it to a certain dimension or something as well.
Absolutely right. And it falls back to the white space.
Yeah.
Because
the-
when you leave enough space there, then clearly
Mhm.
you can see everything nicely.
Yeah. So that's for slide making. Anything else?
I think that's a good enough rule of thumb for everyone to start off with. And then the rest really comes with experimenting.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, you can always ask someone to review your slides for you. Like, actually ask
Someone
them.
reasonable.
Of course, that's true. You need to like ask them. Oh, can you see the words clearly? Or like, do you feel like you're not able to focus on my slides or what I'm saying as well? So yeah, then we move on to the next speaking. When you're presenting.
Or let's even bring in script together with this category.
Yeah. Actually, I don't know. Okay, first of all, I'll talk about how I present usually.
Yeah.
So just like how I did in my presentation slides, you just put the keywords, right? And then you elaborate. And then maybe some pictures, you can explain about the pictures as well. So most of the time, if you look at my script is not like one whole paragraph,
A whole essay on it.
Yeah, it's not an essay. It's usually like, okay, I have something to talk about this point, so I will write like 1 sentence or 2 sentences, just particularly of that one point. And then you move on to the next one. Like, you don't really write much of a script. It's just like, it's still, again, a lot of points that you want to elaborate about. Of course, that comes with the command of English, definitely.
Or even whatever language that you're presenting in.
Yeah, like if you are actually not to say master, but at least you are comfortable enough to do it air quote impromptu. Not really impromptu. You still need to practice, of course, but yeah, generally that's how you come up with the script. At least it's for me, that's how I come up with the script. So I think you don't, and then I will always bring my notes in with me into the presentation. At least I have something to refer to. But I notice you don't.
What, bring a script?
Yeah, you don't have a script with you.
So it's two different school of thought, which I can totally agree with bring a script, because at times when you're not familiar with the material, it is best to bring in a script.
Yeah, it's something to refer to.
Exactly, and I even highly recommend people to actually not memorize but understand your material
Yes.
very well, that
Yeah.
even without a script you know
Yeah.
what needs to be said.
Mm-hmm.
So this can come in forms where you can watch videos on a similar topic, especially for us who are not yet PhD candidates or thesis writing.
Yeah.
So most of the topics are available in videos, YouTube, or even other presentation slides, right? So this is where you can get ideas of what should I say that is necessary. And so maybe it's just a me thing where I can visually recognize what needs to be said, or audio I hear and I remember, and so I just spit it out like a recorder.
Yeah, I mean, it depends from person to person. Like, I'm more comfortable in my way. So,
Yeah. But most importantly, you need to, one, have a comfortable enough language mastery.
yeah,
Second is you need enough mastery of your material.
yeah, you definitely have to understand the material like inside
Enough,
out. Like,
yes.
at least, it's enough for you to present without having to always look at the script. Yeah. And
And then how do you want to engage your audience? That's when you look at that. So when it comes to engaging the audience, it's not so much so about sharing it, but so much so how do I communicate with you, or to say how do I engage the idea with you. Where if let's say we're talking about an orange, right? We can go on the whole about the biochemistry of orange,
Yeah.
the whole how did it grow from a seed to a tree to have the citrus produced. But are people gonna really sit through all that and just listen? Not so much. So it's more so how do I build up from your initial idea, and so people can easily recognize that, okay, so this is what I understand, and so following that understand is what you're sharing. So let's say maybe in Malaysia we don't have oranges, but what's your experience with oranges? Is it this certain country tend to have maybe more sour oranges? This certain country tends to have sweet oranges. Okay,
Yeah.
so from there, like, okay, I know the taste of the orange. So where does this bring me to? Okay, so here's the growth of it. So because of certain minerals, environment, the orange become this way. You're like, okay, oh, so my taste bud is dependent on the nature and the environment of
Yeah.
orange. Okay, so on and so forth. And so people tend to work better in how we say story form.
yeah,
Or in how maybe in situations where the story is not applicable, you build upon their initial knowledge. Because everyone has a certain amount of knowledge to be in your sharing session, right?
or at least like a case study.
Or a case study.
Yeah, in our case.
Or even just a regular, sharing it with the mamaks. You always start with a base foundation that people know something. I'm going to talk about my boss. Okay, boss. Okay, what about your boss? Oh, my boss is a bit fussy. Okay, everyone knows the boss is fussy. And then so on and so forth. Oh, but my boss is different in what way? Oh, that's the contrast there. So that's how you want to engage the audience.
So, yeah, basically that is pretty much everything you should like
Practice
check on.
on.
Yeah, check on, practice on when you have a presentation. Another thing is also practice and rehearsals. I feel it's important for you to practice and rehearsal. You want to know, you don't want to make it too lengthy, especially if you have like other people presenting as well. You don't want to make it too lengthy, so you have to time yourself. Number one. Number two, familiarize with what you're presenting, how you want to present, what is the order, the speed of your speech, the tone of your speech. So yeah, basically just practice first, give it a few rehearsal rounds first before you actually go for the real presentation.
See what works best in the situation. You can't say that what works best for you, because what works best for you doesn't mean it's good for the presentation itself.
Especially when it comes to presenting, when you have to present. Like the slides
Especially
part, we definitely have to say that is pretty much
its own.
that's it already. But
It's a dead
presenting,
subject on its own.
Yeah.
But you as a live person or live being,
When
you kind of
you
need to play
present.
around it.
Mm.
And which leads to our last point is that you need to have fun and don't take it
Yeah.
too seriously. Because always at times, even with the best preparation, you tend to brain fart every now and then.
We all do, but you have to like be
Play it
flexible
off.
enough.
Just play it off. Like
And
everyone
yeah,
make mistakes, right?
definitely.
Uh,
But I guess we can keep that for another day. You know, stage fright. In the meantime, in TF,
we
we
judge.
judge.